Hello and welcome. Women face a tough time today when it comes to sticking on to their careers, particularly in the world of computing, where relatively they may have done better, but there's still a long way to go. One person who's trying to address some of the challenges the industry is facing in general as well as specific is Vidya Laxman, who is COO of ThoughtWorks, an engineer herself. Vidya, thank you very much for speaking with us. So let me ask you a more fundamental question. Women have done well in computing. I don't think there's any doubt about that. But the kind of issues you seem to be dealing with as a company which seems to be also focused on social causes is more to do with how they can do better and how they can stay on in the workforce as against maybe leaving it mid-career or getting forced to leave for various reasons which are not in their control. So tell me, why is this first of all an issue that affects you?
Actually, what really happens is we've noticed that women, the percentage of women who are in the software industry is the highest compared to any other vertical or any other industry in the engineering field. Having said that, after 5 or 6 years, you notice the biggest drop is amongst these women. It's not because they don't have the appetite to succeed. It's not because that they don't want to, but the issue is that they have other constraints when it comes to family, and mostly I've noticed working, especially in India, even though we talk about we have a good ecosystem, they have these huge family pressures where family comes, they are supposed to give family more importance than career, and they're unable to decide or they don't know how to go about it, and that's where the guidance is really needed. And most of the organizations also have to really work towards it and have some policies or awareness amongst all the people to be accommodative.
Right. So why is that? I mean, why should organizations, including yours, take that additional effort? What are you getting in return, if I can put it that way?
So there are two ways. One is we all know about diversity. Having diversity in the workforce is very important, and we've seen the benefits of it, and I don't want to get into too much details because I'm sure all of us know, and everybody is aware about it, especially from the past 5 years. I remember when I completed engineering and I joined, I think for a decade, I was mostly the only developer with among 15 men. And what happens is, it's not like my peers. I've been very lucky. I've had wonderful male colleagues, and they make an effort to make you feel comfortable. But they get so used to seeing the same environment. They don't know how to handle diversity, and then the different thought processes, because they think a little differently. And that's one advantage. The second one is that I read somewhere a statistics showing that when a person leaves, a company, an organization loses 150% of the amount of effort they've put in to get this person. So the skill set loss is huge. The organization goes backward. And I feel that's another reason why, amongst all the many reasons why we should really take care and be more accommodating towards every gender. I'm not saying nowadays, with all the roles, gender equality, even I noticed that many of the male colleagues also take up a lot of responsibility when they would like work-life balance, and they also need that.
So let me ask you a slightly larger social question then, right? I mean, we are in India where women still have a long way to go in terms of, let's say, getting basic education and then going on to employment and workforce and so on. How can organizations or your world address that world?
One of the things which I've noticed most of the organizations which have taken up and are doing very well, and amongst that ThoughtWorks is very passionate about, is that we don't want to focus only on the metro cities. So we go to second and third tier cities, and what we have done is we have started hiring students from polytechnic schools, not A-rated schools, but polytechnic schools who are smart enough, who come from different backgrounds, economically also, and we train them for 2 years. We give them education, and we also have a mandate across the world. We try to see to it that when we are hiring fresh candidates, we hire 50% or more of women. I know in Australia they hired 60%. And it could be some people, I remember initially when this was raised around 3 or 4 years ago, people were saying, oh, are we trying to get a quota system? But this is something which is positive discrimination, because we've seen the results now that we are able to increase gender diversity in a very big way. And now we want to focus on social economic, like economically backward also. So we get them into a foray, and even that adds more diversity, because we are not aware. We have couple of us are pretty privileged. We've not gone through the hardship that these guys go through. And when we are sitting through the designs or architecture, they tell us some things which we wouldn't even think of. So even the organization benefits as well as we're giving something back.
So let me ask you a somewhat generic question. So are women in computing and technology, and from your own experience, in some ways better placed, let's say, compared to other industries or other sectors?
See, you have a mindset. I think a decade ago, when you look at women, they were mostly in the hospitality business.
Services. Yeah.
Services, you would say they were mostly in services. But now, yes, I would say that they're better placed.
Right, and that's happening because of the sheer inflow, or is it also because the...
Because I guess it's because of the awareness that we've really, people have been building and talking about, and you have all these women conferences. This is Grace Hopper is one of the biggest conference, which has been consistently happening from 2006, where I remember when I got into engineering college, I didn't have any role models as such in the engineering field. But now there's so many, and especially more in these conferences, you get to interact, you get to collaborate, you get to work with them, so you get inspired. Hopefully, you get some kind of guidance which you didn't have before. You can always choose your mentors, you can reach out to them, which many of us didn't have that privilege before.
Right, and what's your view of that last ceiling?
I agree with what Aruna just mentioned during the keynote speech today. I think it's a myth. I believe that it's all in the mind, and I've not come across it. I've been very, very fortunate and lucky. I've got great managers, I've got great colleagues, both male and female. I believe if you work hard, and you need to have more than just meritocracy here, you need to have EQ also is very important, I feel. And that's something which India has started to address lately, and in the global field they have started to address much earlier, but I think in India now they've started to address it's important.
Give me an example of what EQ would mean to you.
EQ is how would you communicate, how would you empathize, how would you listen more. I think that's what it is. It's all about your body language and empathizing with the other person. It's not about always wanting to talk and be heard, but being heard in a very subtle way.
Right. So we are in India, this is 2013, and obviously a lot of things have changed, right? So if there were one or two things that you would like to see change and maybe drive that change, not just in your organization, but in general, what would they be?
I think in the IT industry, most of us are aware of what's happening, and we are consciously making changes, and we are ready to adapt. I would say we can adapt more, and we can have more work-life balance, especially be more accommodating. But outside the IT industry, when these people walk out of the workforce and they go by buses or they go through the society, that's something that we need to really work on, because that's where they really live. And they just work 8 hours in the company, and once they get out, it's a totally different world. And I feel we need, at an organization level, we need to adopt certain communities and work with the communities to also make them understand at different level, at the grassroots level, because those men don't view gender equality as very important. I think that's something which we can really work on. I would say that's nothing else comes to my mind.
Right, I think and that's a good note to end on. I think you've talked about what the real challenges to the the 18 hours or the 20 hours that people spend in homes in a week, and then how do you influence them?
And also, I think including the family. Many companies, I know that they've started including the family. Like I know within our company, health insurance, one of the benefits that we give is they can add their in-laws, which is a big advantage, because then the in-laws are also feeling part of it, hopefully.
Right.
Yeah.
That's a good note again.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for
Thank
speaking
you.
with us.
Thanks a lot,
Vidya.
Govind.